Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Sophia4Christ. I am so happy that you're here. Welcome. We are just so blessed with all the series we've been having. Now, the mission of this platform, Sophia4Christ, is to share content that enlightens and empowers you to go forth and fulfill your divine purpose and be your best in every area of your life. Welcome. Now, we are going to continue with our Entrepreneurship and You series, but today we are going to be discussing the best practices for business accounting. And of course, like I keep saying, for these Entrepreneurship and You episodes, if the Lord has laid on your heart to start a business, what you need to start that business, don't delay. There's a reason why the Lord has laid it on your heart, and you need to make haste and just go and start doing what the Lord has called you to do in this season. Yes, there won't be a perfect time, but guess what? As long as you launch out in the timing that the Lord specifies, He will provide all things for you to do just well. We have a special guest, and let me just bring her up. We have Lady Tanieka Rennis-Miller. And I'm going to introduce this lovely lady. You would have seen her before on the very first Power Couples episode with her husband, Sir George. So let me introduce this formidable lady of the hour. Lady Tanieka Rennis-Miller holds an undergraduate degree from the University of Technology, where she majored in accounting and did a minor in banking and finance. She received an upper second-class honors from this area of study. Lady Tanieka later completed her master's in accounting, where she graduated with distinction from the University of the West Indies. Furthermore, Lady Tanieka is a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica, ICAJ. To keep abreast with the accounting profession, she has completed several certification courses. This is all complemented by her extended years of experience in human resource management, and furthermore, she has also received several certificates from the Human Resource Management Association of Jamaica, HRMAJ. Lady Tanieka Rennis-Miller currently works as a full-time accountant, but that's not all. As I hinted before, she is married to Sir George Miller, and they have two lovely, amazing children, Micah and Matthew. Lady Tanieka, welcome. What do you like most about your profession?
Thank you so much. First, let me pause to say thanks for having me on the platform yet again. It means,
yes,
you would have been
by
impressed
popular demand.
Yeah. All right, so it's great being here. What do I like about the profession of being an accountant? I'm pretty much a very organized person, so it keeps me on my toes, in terms of showing me the bigger picture, in terms of my credits. Am I going in debt, or how am I doing along that path? So pretty much that's why I love this job, accounting.
Okay, thank you so much, Lady Tanieka. We have a presentation. Lady Tanieka is going to share with us about this world that I know nothing about, because really I'm econ. I don't really know anything about accounting. So I'm looking forward to learn from her, all of the wonderful things that she will share with us. However, I just want to point out that this discussion is only intended for informational purposes. So please arrange for your representation as it relates to your business documents and your business accounting. All right, so this is just for informational purposes. And of course, if you look at the description box below, you'll see the contact details for Lady Tanieka Rennis-Miller, so that you can contact her after the show if you would so desire. Okay, so let's move on. So over to you, Lady Tanieka, for your presentation.
Okay, thank you so very much. And as you had hinted in your introduction, we will be talking about best practices for business accounting. So before I get into the presentation, of course, I just want to share some what I call business starter nuggets. And of course, these were written by Kent Bernard, who happens to be a money and finance writer for small businesses. And the first nugget, goes like this. If you want to be successful in business, you are going to have to learn how to keep the books in order. All right? And the second one, learning accounting is important for business owners because sound financial information enables them to make informed business decisions. So before I get into the presentation, I just want to say this, a lot of times when persons hear about accounting, they just think numbers, numbers. But there is a great amount of analytical data that is involved in accounting. You have to analyze and you must be able to forecast, know when to make the right decision and know when to do what before you continue. Because it can, depending on the decision that you make, it can either cause your business to continue or it will cause your business to end up in early termination, which of course you do not want. All right. So these are what I call some ABCs of small business accounting best practice. So in other words, these are things that you must do. These are disciplines that you have to do in order to stay on track. So here goes. The first business practice. You must determine your accounting method. So regardless of the type of business that you are in, or regardless of the size, you must determine an accounting method that will be used. And of course, there are two accounting methods. They are cash and accrual. The cash concept is pretty much more frequently used in small businesses. And of course, what the cash process does, it enables better cash flow management. However, with the accruals concept, it has its advantages, and even so it's more advantageous because it provides a clearer picture of your financial position. So in other words, you are able to forward plan. Accrual accounting is more complex to manage, and in general, the larger and more complex your business is, then of course, the accrual concept is recommended for you to use. And it also provides a snapshot of your business. And as I said before, you are better able to manage your business. So as a result, you can make better, wiser business decisions, because always remember, you are going into business not with not with a one day perception, but you should be in this for the long haul as much as possible. Okay, the second thing that you must
One
practice.
moment, Lady Tanieka. So would you say that the accruals method would be best if, like, you have a lot of persons owing you and you need to keep track of them paying you back and stuff like that, paying you for the services or the goods you've given them?
I thought you said you didn't know anything about accounting.
I don't know much. I don't.
Yes. And I will
had to do a few accounting courses.
Sure, I will definitely get more into that about. So that's technically called your accounts payable, which is, as you rightly put it, it's a listing of the persons that you owe. All right. So the second principle, as I was saying before, you must track all expenses, not some of the expenses. You have to track all of them. So of course, if you are just starting out in business, you might be able to keep track of your expenses. And as I mentioned before, your accounts payable. It is just a listing of all the person that you owe. So you can keep these listing on a simple Excel spreadsheet. So if you are not saying one of those, huge companies that can afford to say invest in those fancy accounting softwares, always remember that Excel Excel does the trick, all right? But it's important for you to track all your expenses. If you have, say, a small business, one of the affordable software that you can invest in is Wave. It's basically an online app. So you can invest in that. Sage is also affordable for small businesses, and QuickBooks as well. All right. The third thing that you want to do is you want to ensure you maintain accurate records. Because guess what? Your business can easily fail if you aren't keeping accurate, up-to-date accounting records. And I want to repeat that. Your business can easily fail if you aren't keeping accurate, up-to-date accounting records. And guess what? These records also help to guide you in doing your tax filings. And of course, later in the presentation, I will get more into that. Yes, once you're in business, we can't evade, but we need to pay over what is due onto the government of Jamaica, right? And decision makings and other key documents are also important because that will prompt lenders and investors whether or not they should invest in our business. And the accounting standards also recommends that we should use journals to record our transactions. And it is just what it is. A journal, you just make a record of what took place. Any sales, any purchases, ensure you record everything. And you can also maintain ledger. Basically, this contains the total of your journal. So in other words, the journals are a subset of your ledgers. You can also maintain electronic records. So whether they are in the clouds or physical format, but ensure that you maintain your records. So whether it's a small business or large, ensure that you keep record of your employees, because again, these information are critical when you are doing your tax filing. We are now at the fourth principle, another best practice. I've summarized them into nine areas, but of course you can do your research and see what else you can gather. But based on my research, I came up with 9. Number 4, ensure you keep business finances separate. Ensure you keep your business finances separate. I think one of the mistakes that some of us, or maybe most of us, would have made at the initial stage is that when we are starting out, we think it's okay for you to say sort of double, if I may put it like that, in your organization's fund, but be disciplined enough to ensure that you open a separate account, right? So it can be very easy for you to mingle, your business finances with the personal bookkeeping, as I said before, for small businesses when you're just starting out. But just ensure that you resist that temptation, right? Because what it does, having separate accounts, what it does, it provides you with a clear picture. It's not going to lie to you. So if the business is doing well, you're going to see that snapshot. If the business is not doing so well, you'll also see that snapshot and see what you may need to do. Chances are you need to retool, do some restructuring. But when you merge everything, you really don't have a sense of what is going on, right? So you want to ensure as much as possible to initiate an account once you have registered and have started your business. The 5th principle, you must perform monthly accounting reviews. So from the research I've done, it stipulates that you should do monthly reviews. But as a best practice, and being the disciplined person I am, I'm suggesting that you do more frequent reviews. So if you are able to say do weekly reviews, it doesn't hurt. If you are able to do bi-weekly, it doesn't hurt. But at least once per month, ensure that you conduct your reviews, because of course from the reviews you will also be able to establish your accounts payable. It's important for you to stay on track of the persons that you owe, and also stay on track also of those persons who owes you funds, because, and I'll get into that later again. I don't want to delve too much, but those are called, the persons who owes you are called your accounts receivable. So you want to ensure that you keep both at a minimum as possible. The sixth principle, you want to ensure that you limit your accounts receivable. All right, so no company intends to adopt weak accounts receivable policies, but unfortunately, such policies happen very frequently. Sometimes we fell down in areas of follow-up, as simple as it seems. So what you may find is that you may, as your business increases in size, that is, you may want to say designate someone who handles just follow-up calls, because what you find is that if these follow-ups aren't done in a timely manner, then you realize that you unwillingly you have to just write off what you call bad debt, and especially in such a time as this, then really that doesn't exist. As they say, every mickle do makes a muckle. So you want to ensure that you stay on top of all the persons who have funds outstanding for you. And of course, the failure not to follow up, it can be very costly, because as I said before, you have to classify those as bad debt. And it doesn't matter the size of your business, you want to also keep that bad debt percentage at the very minimal per se. There are also some strategies for limiting issues with accounts receivable. Of course, you can find ways to take delivery upon payment of your services. So, for example, if say you happen to find a new customer, so what you can do is to negotiate different payment terms, yes, to sort of maintain your accounts receivables at a minimum. So negotiate payment terms. It could be 50% upon confirming an order. It could be 100% upfront. But again, most persons are really unwilling to say lock in 100% of their funds without even receiving the goods or services. But at least lock yourself into something, so at the end there is less funds outstanding, less funds out there. And again, with COVID, none of us knew that, we were going to hit into COVID. So, I mean, just imagine pre-COVID and say you had your accounts receivables were very, very high. I mean, the fact that we are in a pandemic, just imagine the high percentage of bad debt that you would have been forced to say, write off. So again, as much as possible, you want to ensure that you keep your accounts receivables at a minimum. And I'm hoping I'm helping someone, whether or not you have a small business, these practices, once you are disciplined enough and you try to conform by them, then you should see successes in your business. The seventh principle is to automate when possible. So, of course, it is imperative, for business owners to stay on top of the numbers. But what that doesn't mean you should spend all your time on mundane tasks or boring tasks per se, because at times the role can really become monotonous. So like, for example, if it's payroll, it could be invoice processing, ensure that you invest in softwares that can automate the processes. And I would have given examples of some softwares before. All right. Because again, if you are to do these tasks manually each time they are required, then I'm telling you, they can be very, very, very time consuming. So ensure you invest in systems that can allow you to automate when possible. And you will find that you will save a lot of time. All right, the eighth best practice, eighth principle is to ensure that you back up your financial records. Yes, ensure that you back up your financial records. So whether now it's frequent where persons are storing their information in the cloud, yes, so whether or not you store them in the cloud or they are stored on hard copy ledgers or on the archaic way of even the paper, because persons still utilize the paper. It's not everyone who is gone e-version, right? So there is still that concept of doing it on the paper. But whichever way, whichever routine that your organization uses, ensure that you back up your information to protect against the obvious physical threats and also to protect against cyber attacks. All right. And the ninth and final principle is to ensure that you consider hiring professional help. So especially as your business grows, this is really synonymous with growth. I'm not saying as you start out, you are to rush out and get an accountant per se or bookkeeper. But as your business grow, ensure that you hire, then it could be part-time, because especially if it's a small business, then I don't foresee a lot of, LOE, level of effort being used, for accounting services. But you want to streamline your operations. You want to have that bigger picture and ensuring that whatever the picture is showing you is the reality. As I said, whether or not it's a good look, you want to ensure what you are seeing is the real deal. So you know whether you need to, unfortunately, you may need to say trim, cut staff. That's what it could mean. Or as I would have mentioned before, you may need to do some sort of retooling before you proceed. So that's pretty much the 9 principles, as I call them, the 9 ABCs of business. All right. I know I've been talking about best practices, but I'm not going to leave it there. I'm going to also look at the different types of returns that you would complete and when you would complete those returns. And it range from being self-employed to salaried persons or partnership, because there are other types of business. So if it's a corporate body, then the form that you complete is called the ITO2, and that's for your annual returns. When is that due? That document is due on the 15th of March. If you need to complete an estimate, meaning you are estimating now for the next financial year, what you complete is called an ITO7, also due on the 15th of March. Then we're going down to the self-employed. As I said, I'm here to help everyone. So regardless of the type of business, then I'm hoping that you would get something beneficial from the presentation. So if you happen to be a self-employed, what you would complete is called SO4. And of course, that would be a listing of your actual expenditures. That is also due to the tax office on the 15th of March. And I know these dates should ring a bell because round about that time, I know that the demand for accounting services is very high, right? And that's for the obvious reason, because all these documentations are due to the tax office round about March 15th. Also, if you are self-employed, you are asked to complete an SO4A, which is an estimate of the next financial year. So, of course, based on the actual that you would have just submitted, it should have been easy, more or less, for you to come up with an estimate for the next year. And that's not cast in stone because, of course, the next year, you still have to complete the actual, right? If you happen now to be a salaried person, then your employer must, you notice I said must, your employer must complete a SO1. That must be done monthly, and that should pick up, highlight all your payroll taxes. So we're talking about the whopping income tax, same PAYE, pay as you earn, talking about NIS, talking about the education tax, and we're also talking about National Housing Trust. So all these taxes, they are deducted at source. So in other words, what you get on your payslip only reflects your net salary. So for the taxes that your employer would have held back, those should be remitted to the tax office on a monthly basis, and those must be paid over by the 14th of each month. Also, annually, for same salaried persons, your employer must submit what is called a SO2. And as I said before, that is done annually. So that is just filing. For the SO1, that's payment, right? But the SO2, it's just to validate what the SO1, the 12 SO1s that you would have done for that calendar year, the SO2, is basically a synopsis. So in other words, the SO2 should equal to the 12 SO1 that would have been done for that same year, right? And the SO2, because of the magnitude of work that is involved in putting that together, that is due on the 31st of March. All right. And then I'm not leaving out this group. There is also the partnership. So the form that is completed is called the ITO3, which is also due on the 15th of March. So you have heard before about all the dates and when all these payments are due. So one of the key things also you need to bear in mind is timeliness in doing the payments. So nothing is wrong if you say do the payments before, because like for now, what I do, I ensure that I do on a monthly basis. I don't wait until the 14th to pay the SO1, even though that is the stipulated deadline. What I do, I ensure that I get it out by even the 10th of each month, right? So at least if there is a month that I'm late, maybe I could call the tax office or something, because there would have been a particular trend. So it would have been something extenuating that would have caused this month's payment to be late. All right. So we want to ensure as much as possible that we settle our payments on time. And you're going to hear no the reason why we should submit those payments on time, because you see the failure to file and pay, the rates are exorbitant. And I'm going to just take you through a few. So the penalty, there is a penalty of $5,000 for each month, or the part thereof, up to a maximum of $1 million. So $5,000 each month, yes, once your payments are late. And in addition to that, there is also a 16 double figures now, So listen, 16.62 charge for late payment. That's on your income tax. And you already know the charges that are associated with income tax. So there is 25% if you're up to 6 million, anything over 6 million, that is at 30%. So you don't want to then additionally absorb another 16.2% on that. That really makes no sense, right? So again, as much as possible, you want to ensure that you get your payments in on time. And there is also a whopping 20% if your NHT or NIS payments are late. And of course, you can visit the tax office website, which is I have it right here, so you can go and check that the information I'm presenting is scholarly. So it's www.jamaicatax.gov.jm. All right, so as I said before, you want to ensure that you avoid these late fees. The penalties, they are too exorbitant. Those can contribute to your profits. All right, so what are the benefits of maintaining proper accounting records? There would have been some benefits, right? So of course, your well-kept records mean tax savings. So you pay purses on time, then obviously there is a tax savings that are attached to that. And I would have went through when you pay on time, how you are able to prevent charges and penalties. And from what I've shared, there isn't a penalty or charge that is single digit, right? So I think that in and of itself is a deterrent for you to pay on time, right? And any accountant that you have, that should be a stickler. That should be one of their mantra. Ensure you pay on time. For persons who also for your accounts receivables, they need to pay on time, because guess what? You have bills, right? And if it's the utilities, whatever kind of bills, there are no say grace period. There are penalties that are attracted if you do not settle on time, right? Keeping proper records, and this is a big one. It also aids in getting loans. So it could be from your banks or just other creditors. So of course, it could be that you're looking to do expansion, right? And you want to ensure that your debt to credit ratio is good. So if that's not good, you can't get any loan, right? So you want to ensure that your books are in order so that you can get loan at the appropriate time. And it does not say plunge you further into debt. I would have said this before, but it's just a summary. But the proper books and records does is that they provide an accurate picture of your operations. And of course, if you recall earlier when I was talking about the difference with the cash and accrual basis, I was saying, yes, the cash, the cash system is good. In other words, it's quick. You have cash on your hand, but what the accruals concept does, it provides that big picture. You are able to plan forward and really see, how the business is doing. And of course, it informs you as it pertains to the decisions, that you may need to make, whether they are short-term, decisions, immediate, what you really need to do to keep going. And of course, well-kept records may shorten the length of time that an audit takes place to complete. This one, some of us, we don't like. We don't need to be, to be scared or be afraid of auditors. If you follow the principles that I shared with you before, you will be happy to have your books audited. And once an auditor comes in, once an auditor visits your establishment and realize that your books are in order, then they won't take long. They'll just need to do what they are doing, ensure that the relevant source documents are in place, they'll be fine. But then if they are checking particular transactions and they are realizing that the trail of information, they are not adding up, then that is when they start you say to ask questions and all. So it's best to disclose as much as possible and to ensure that your documents are in order. So that puts a wrap on my presentation. And as I said before, I'm hoping that regardless of the type of business that you've been operating, the presentation would have been of help to you. So over to you, Lady Sophia.
Okay, thank you so much, Lady Tanieka, for a very insightful presentation. I asked her to present about the best practices for business accounting, but she went ahead and she gave you a broader, which is to go a bit into the tax side. So you got sort of like extras from this presentation. I thank you so much for the time that you have sacrificed to share with us, because I know that you're very busy. You have many competing demands on your time, and we're very grateful that you took the time to share with us your insights and your expertise in your area of practice, in your profession. And we're just very grateful to you, and we pray that the Lord will continue to bless and keep you, your husband, Sir George, the children, extended family. May the Lord Jesus Christ just continue to bless, guide, protect, keep, and do all of the wonderful things for you guys. Divine elevation, supernatural speed in everything that you do in all areas of your life for the remainder of this year and going forward. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate the time that you have spent with us today. Now you can reach Lady Tanieka Rennis-Miller by just looking at like I said before, the contact details. Her contact details are in the description box below. So you can just look and contact her if you have any questions or if you'd like to get her services. Yes, that's what this is all about. So another thing, now if you are, let me just bring that up. So if you are a Christian business owner or you have a ministry that you like to feature on this show, please send a message to mail@sophiacterrelong.com. To our lovely audience, we're so grateful that you have stayed thus far with us. If you're watching the replay, hello, welcome. Thank you so much for staying with us thus far. Please be sure to like, share, comment, follow, all of the things. So make sure that you are staying tuned, because we have quite a whole lot more to share with you on this Entrepreneurship and You series. So we are discuss best practices for business accounting. You also got some broader with the tax details. So stay tuned to this page, to this YouTube channel. Stay tuned, because we have a lot more coming for you, not just for the Entrepreneurship and You series, but also for other topics as well. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and follow Sophia4Christ on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Please do the same for our guest presenter as well. So until we meet again, may His blessings, peace, and wisdom be upon you all. Bye-bye.